When it comes to sales, there's 9 phrases and words I'm going to teach you not to say. This will help separate you from the pack. It'll help separate you as an effective salesperson to close more sales, to get more business. These 9 phrases are things that are overused or have negative connotation and a negative impact to a client interaction. First thing I want to talk about is the phrase, to be honest with you. If you're saying to be honest with you to a client, it signals that you haven't been honest in the past. You haven't been honest up to this point. So negative connotation to that is, why haven't you been honest with me to this point? So don't say the phrasing, to be honest with you. It's going to leave a bad taste in your client's mouth, and it's going to leave negative connotation where they may look back at the impact or the interactions you've had in the past. To be frank with you is the next one. And it's the same as to be honest with you. If you're not being frank with clients from the start, what are you doing? Why are you dancing around topics? Why are you lying about topics? Why are you not giving the whole truth from the start? That's going to come across as a negative thing, and it could impact a client relationship. Trust me. Trust me is one of those phrasings that you hear from politicians, you hear from salespeople all over the place. You hear from a whole bunch of different aspects. And the phrasing trust me has a huge negative connotation to it, because you're supposed to show, us as salespeople are supposed to prove our product and gain trust through action, not through asking people to trust us. It comes more effectively through doing the job properly, doing the job well, and gaining trust that way. Sorry to bother you. So this is a phrase that you should never say. If you're sorry to bother someone, why are you talking to them? Why are you reaching out to them and trying to sell them something? When you say sorry to bother you, what it does is it immediately puts you a step below your client. You're already apologizing. You're already saying, I'm sorry for reaching out to you. I know you don't need me right now. And it gives them the ability to very easily say, you're right, I don't. All right. So don't say sorry to bother you. Just following up. This is a phrase that I know I've used in the past. Everyone's used this phrase, and it's not the worst phrase, but it's not a good phrase. It's a very overused phrase. When I'm reaching out to a client, I want to make sure that I'm providing them with value. And that value is more than just a follow-up, right? I don't want to just follow up with people and say, hey, have you thought about this again? I want to talk to that person again about the value that I can bring to their company and re-engage those patterns and those thoughts in their mind. Contract. Contract is it's basically a 4-letter word when it comes to some people. It's not the worst word for everybody, but depending on who it is, some people don't like the word contract because they tie in the word contract with a long-term, unbreakable document that they can never get out of, and it's a very negative space. So if you use paperwork or agreement, like let's go and get this paperwork signed, or let's complete the agreement, right? These are things that have a more positive note to them and can save you from that kind of last minute pull out from a client when they get nervous about the word contract. I haven't heard back from you. So this is something that is an overused phrase, and it's a phrase that builds a barrier. It builds distance between yourself and your client. When you spoke to them last, when you reached out to them last, when you guys had your last interaction and you proposed something to them, and they were supposed to come back to you and say yes or no, or verify their interest in whatever product it was. If you didn't hear back from them, it's because they didn't want the product. It's because they weren't interested enough, or there wasn't enough of a need for them to reach back out to you soon. So when you say, I haven't heard back from you, It immediately reinforces that you know that and they know that, and you're asking them why. And it builds a negative barrier between yourself and your client. We want to avoid the building of negative spaces. And last thing, avoid saying things like we are better than X and insert your competition here. The reason being is that you don't need to play down what your competition can do. What you need to do is understand why your client hasn't already signed up with your competition. They know what your competition can do. They've had the meetings with them. What you don't know is why they haven't signed with them. And that's more important. More important is understanding that, yeah, you guys are both capable in your space. But what is it that your client is looking for that your competition doesn't provide? And if you can understand that, then you can cater to your client and make sure that their needs are met. So instead of putting down your competition, use it as an opportunity to learn about your client, what they need, and what they're looking for their competition or your competition didn't provide. It's a much more effective use for that phrase or for that type of information gathering. With these 9 things, it'll make you a more effective, more successful salesperson. It'll make you closer connected with your clients, and it'll allow you to close more sales.